Good morning. Hello. Hi there. My name is Natasha. I am the creator and the founder of the Glow Up Method, and I'm so stinking excited to be here with you today. Today's subject is right in line with everything we've been talking about and working on. So again, what we've been doing here is the whole goal is to live a life that makes you proud, right? So I'm going to be over here in my lane, living a life that makes me proud, and you're going to be over there in your lane, living your life the way that makes you proud. Again, learning how to not judge ourselves, therefore not judge others, is a challenge. I'm going to admit it is a right-handed default way, like our brain is wired to survive, right? So it's checking out our surroundings. If something doesn't look or act or behave like us, we sometimes deem it as danger, right? Because, we don't know if it's a saber-toothed tiger or, just somebody else. I don't know. So we are always trying to be in this survival mode, right? And we have all these default settings that are programmed into us, like from when we were born. We respond, we observe, we all have our unique experiences, our family dynamics. Maybe we don't even have a family dynamic. Like there is just a plethora of things that go into make us us. And, I found myself in this position where at 40 something, I was completely overweight, overwhelmed, anxious, stressed, high blood pressure. I was not living a life I was proud of. I was, not even living a life that I even had any sense of purpose beyond to help and people please other people. Like I honestly thought that was my whole objective on earth, is like, I'm just here to help people. And that's great. Like that is noble. There is nothing wrong with that at all. However, only doing that, I needed to bring me into the table. I had to take a seat at that table. I had to work in conjunction with me in order to do those things still, because doing those things started to harbor resentment. And it probably was all along. I was just becoming aware of the effect it was having on me. It just wasn't like every time I felt any kind of resentment or frustration about anything, like, I don't want to go pick up my kids right now. Like I'm just getting into this work or whatever it is. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, if you're a good mom, you should want to pick, there was so much judgment. There was so much bullying. There was and again, it's like, I resented Chris for not being a more active parent unless I was like, go do this, and then it would be like, no, I don't want to do this. And then he would complain and give me 47 reasons why he didn't have to, or he shouldn't, or why he can't, or he's doing the best he can. And I'm like, listen, we just wasted 20 minutes and all it was picking up your kid 2 blocks around from the corner, and we didn't need to have this whole discussion here. But now I resent him because instead of having the argument the next time, I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick him up. It's gonna be quicker. It's easier on my mental health and energy here, so forget it. I'm just gonna be this mama martyr. I'm gonna do it all. I'm not gonna have an opinion. I'm gonna appear really strong, like nobody's crap gets to me, this is what I was doing. And so, like I've been saying, for me personally, it's been a process of starting from back here and just pulling, getting down, into this center, juicy part of me, right? Like, I've learned so much about myself. I've met my inner child. I've cried with her. I've hugged her. I've been like, hell yeah, girl. You did all that. I've thanked her because the decision that I made 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago still impacts me today, and in some ways makes my life easier. And so a lot of days I go by and I'm like, what can I do today to make future Natasha super proud? And funny thing is, last night my son was asked me for something, and I was like, I can't. I am just absolutely too tired. He's like, but then I'll do this for you if you do it. And I was like, and it was 5x whatever he was asking me to do. And I was like, I can't. I am so tired. He's like, but future Natasha would thank you so much for doing it. I'm like, I know. She would love it. But present Natasha is too damn tired. I cannot. It is 2:30 in the morning and I need to go to the gym in the morning. And I've been up since 7 a.m. I'm tired. Mama needs a break. I can't. So again, oftentimes I do things to set myself up, but I also know that there's a balance, right? I'm not gonna put the present me in a hole, that is so hard to dig out and be so exhausted that the future me can't even enjoy whatever she's going through. So I think about it. It's small things like when I get home, instead of just kicking off the shoes, sometimes I untie them, right? When I think about it, or, I'll park the car in a certain way or in a certain location. I really try to set myself up to make the next event easier. I have special indoor walking shoes and I leave them in places that make it easy for me to work out. I live in my workout clothes, not only because they're elastic. And so, if I go a little crazy on the pastries, it's like, maybe you can see it, but I sure as heck don't feel it, like whatever. Versus like putting on a jean, I'm like, ay. And I have this whole dang apron belly from, way too many kids, my DNA, whatever the reason is, who cares what the thing is, straight up, it's there. It ain't going anywhere unless I have a surgery. So for now, it's there. And so yeah, it's a rare day that I hop in some jeans because I just don't feel cute in them at all. Like I just don't. So why am I going to force myself? It's just like the environment. The succulents, they look good there for a minute, but then they now they look ratchet. They were dead. They are dry. They are like beautiful ones that literally like 2 days ago in the matter of not moving them for 2 days, shriveled up and died, and they were so flourishing before. So listen, jeans ain't the one. This is not the right environment for a pair of jeans. Even though I have a stack of jeans, it's not me. Anywho'sville, I go to all this to say, so once we get to this juicy part, right, we have the self-awareness, we're doing the mindfulness, we're starting to see like what things align with us instead of just doing crap by default, doing what our right hand says, wake up, brush your teeth. Like while we're doing this like life boring routine, unless you intentionally set it out and you absolutely love it, then don't change a damn thing. Keep it going. You got it. Like you got this. Like teach me. But unless you're feeling like fully fulfilled, or you're feeling like you have your purpose and you're feeling solid on this, there at some point there's going to be change, right? Like you're going to change. And oftentimes when we change, it's uncomfortable, right? Let's go to a total easy thing, right? Like when we're babies and we change and, all of a sudden at night we hear the babies crying and there's nothing. The diaper's clean, they're fed, they don't want to eat, you give them hugs, everything. Sometimes it's just simply growing pains, right? Like my kids through their pubescent times, like as they've had their thing, all of a sudden in the middle of the night, they'll wake up with aches and pains in their legs. They're growing, right? When we, or somebody like me who had neglected their physical health for so long begins a health journey, it hurts, right? Like there are growing pains, or shrinking pains. Maybe it's me shrinking. I don't know. But no, it's growing. Your muscles are growing, right? Because they had atrophied. They weren't used. They went to sleep. They were just like chilling, big lazy guys over there hanging out. And now we're putting them to work. You change a job. There's a lot of uncertainty. You end a relationship you've been in for a long time. There's growing pains. And so realizing that there's growing pains is a huge part of acknowledging this importance of change. Because when you self-reflect and you become aware, you can see all those things that were in your blind spots. You can see all the areas that you're using a default setting that maybe is no longer serving you and is something that you would like future you to maybe no longer do or alter or do differently, right? So I say all this to say there's going to be growing pains. I'm going to give you an example. So last night, it was just a hot night. My son was doing his streaming, so I caught his working. He was doing his work, then he ate, and he wanted to go to the pool. So two of my kids went to the pool, and I was like, I don't have to go with you guys. I'll let you guys go. And they're like, no, just go. So I went. I brought a book. I didn't even know. I always do all this. I bring a book. I brought something to write with. I have all this. And I got there, and I was like, it's just so beautiful out right now. You got the water splashing. You got the birds. It's beautiful weather. I just was gonna sit there. So I end up just sitting there and I'm chatting with my kids and I'm giggling at their conversations. And one leaves, and then the other one and I just begin talking. So he's in the pool for like a couple hours. We're just chit-chatting as he's in the pool. It's like his place to kind of let it all out. Like it's, kind of the equivalent of our walk. Or, last night was in the pool. I didn't get in the pool. I was kind of at that point, I was like, damn, I should have just brought my bathing suit and went in the pool. But it was like, I was certain, like, it's certain weather before I get in it. Like, if it's chilly, I am not getting in there. The pool's just not warm enough for me. Like, this is just torture. Anyways, so we're chatting, time gets away, we come home. Oh, I water some things. I see my daughter comes home. She'd been in Disneyland. One kid went down and ate, so it was my daughter and I and one son eating. He was down there eating up. We were just observing him, keeping him company. He left. The next one ended up coming down because he had been in the shower. He came down. He's chit-chatting and and we're laughing, we're giggling, we're having a good old time, and completely lost track of time. And the next thing you know, like, there's just an eruption from Chris. Like, right, we're just in our lane, we're just doing our thing, and he completely erupts. He grabs his stuff, he makes a scene. We're like, we're sorry, we'll go to sleep and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm leaving, and, slams doors, and everybody's on edge, And when Chris and I first got together, my default setting was to fix it. My default setting was, because this is not a new behavior. This is not a sudden thing. This has happened for the duration of this, 25 years we've been together, and is the continuance, and even the increase in the continuance of it happening is definitely a factor for me, because I've communicated, how it affects me. I've communicated how it affects the kids. I've asked the kids to directly communicate to him the impact on him, yet he still reacts. And okay, that's fine. This is his life, right? This is his reaction. This is his thing. He blasts us all the texts, and, like, it's not nice. And, but I didn't have my phone. It was upstairs in my bag. Like, I had been at the pool with my son. I wasn't, like, I'm not on the phone. I'm really trying to, when I'm with my family and when I'm taking my time for my mindfulness, to separate myself from these distractions, because I know I have a tendency to indulge and get lost, and suddenly an hour's gone by and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I just literally went on to check my calendar, and the next thing you know, I was on Twitter and Facebook and whatever other medium I'm on, or checking an email, checking a text, like whatever it is. Like, something on there has now distracted me and hijacked my attention. And now, like, here you go. So I'm really trying to give myself some distance from my phone, and set up some rules and things. So I'm pretty good about that. So, like, I'm learning this, new habit, right? But it's painful. Like this, I didn't have my phone and I couldn't respond or change, like, been quiet so he can go to sleep, whatever it was. And, and then it puts everybody on edge, like, we all go running, we go scattering. And old me used to go chase him, right? Used to call him 50 times, used to text him 50 times. I wouldn't get a response. I'd go out in the car and go try to find him. I'd do all these things. And as I began taking care of myself, and I began to have this time of self-reflection and awareness, I began to see what was happening. And at least from my perspective, I was enabling a behavior that wasn't really healthy for me. It wasn't healthy for him, and it wasn't healthy for our kids. It wasn't healthy for our family, and it wasn't healthy for our relationships collectively. And so I made the really challenging choice to not do it, because sometimes, or most times, he would say, he was going to harm himself when he left. And again, like I said, I've said on here before, I was like 3 years old when my mom attempted suicide in front of me. And, it was up to me. If it wasn't for me, literally my mom would not be here today. And that's a lot of pressure on a 3-year-old kid who has teen parents and nobody, like, to process this situation with, I mean, granted, it just wasn't a thing. It's not like, therapy was like as talked about as it is now or any of those things, but it was just this thing that most times was never talked about. Yet on occasion when my dad drank too much, it would be like, I'm so sorry you had, like I came home and he talked about his experience with it, of course, because he's traumatic too. Like he has his PTSD from what he saw. And that was a iota of my experience. And he wasn't much older. He was 19, right? If I'm 3, he's 19. So he's not that much older than me to have this experience. So I look at my son who's 18 and I'm like, listen, that's pretty traumatizing for him too. But nobody knew what to do. Yet I had all this thing. So again, I say all this to say my relationship with Chris was almost like an extension of my relationship with my mom, where it was built on from the very beginning, like this responsibility that was placed on me by him, his mother, his friends, that, Chris had done this before, he had attempted this before, and it's up to me to protect him. And of course, like, above everything else, I know how to do this. Like I can do this. I can take this on. I've been the superhero before that helped somebody in, after an attempt, and it was just a mess everywhere. And so I have this fear, right? That every time he leaves, when he's not in a stable mindset, which is often, I feel so uncomfortable. I feel scared. I feel sick to my stomach. I feel nervous. My brain starts going to the worst case scenarios. And then because I'm so uncomfortable in this and I'm feeling guilty, that I should have just never said anything. I should have never asked him to put away his own dishes. Like that was so mean to me. Like, why would I do that? Like, if something happens, this is my fault because I asked him to wash his dish, or I asked him to help with the kids. Like, and it's not my fault. Like, there's nothing, like, even as a little girl, there was nothing I did wrong for my mom to do that. That's her own journey. Again, she was a kid herself, if my dad's 19, she was 20 years old. Like, you were a baby yourself. Like, you don't know that much better. And it's not like they had this stellar upbringing. My dad's first gen, the youngest of 4, his family came over when the second child was born here, so they were, literally had their own hella traumas in there. My mom as well. Like, it just, her history was traumatic as well. So it's not like we were starting off on a clean slate here with, some advantages. We were starting at a severe disadvantage. So they were doing their best. Like, I have no shade or hate to them. I can have revelations and I can suddenly understand myself and my experience a little better, and giving them the grace, right? Like, what good is it to be like, you did this, Mom, you left, you didn't come back, you said you were going to come, I sat there like the 2 kids in the rain in Cat in the Hat, my brother and I, sitting there just waiting and waiting and waiting for you to not show up. Like, that's hella cruel. Like, you couldn't give us a phone call and let us know. I pulled out all the Mother's Day. What is the point of me getting all pissy with her like that? Yeah, I can lash out, I could be upset, and I can honor the fact that, like, that really hurt. Like, and I can also understand that she was having her own experience too. It wasn't like she was sitting there and like, how can I mess these kids up a little bit more? That wasn't the thought process. Yes, it may have been the result, but I don't believe that was her intent ever whatsoever, never once. I think that everything she thought she did was for our benefit and would be better. I think she was so insecure, so low, so all her own things, that she really felt like her not being there was the best option for us. That she was so unworthy of being a mother and so insecure in her own kind of stuff that her leaving, she thought was the best thing for us. And I believe this to be true. And so again, I say all this to say, so every time Chris leaves, it's a big trigger for me. Like, it's really scary. It's really anxiety provoking. I need to, in one essence, be this strong pillar for my kids. I need to send out some special shout out prayers that he doesn't do anything and I don't have to have this terrible conversation with my kids that I've been afraid of having since the day we met and the day the kids were born. I'm worrying about him and his well-being. Where is he? What is he doing? You know, is he safe? Is he, you know, like sometimes he'll come back and tell me things and I'm like, oh my God, you know, and I'm freaking out because now I have these whatever I had in my imagination, these things are even worse than what I had anticipated possibly could have happened. And so I finally, as I begin to really work on myself, starting with the self-care, starting with the mindfulness and figuring out what things make me proud, like what things align with me and my identity and where I want to go. Do I want to be chasing him for the next 60 years and trying to fix something that quite frankly, I can't fix it. I can't change it, and I can appease it, and I did for so long, and for years, the begging and the crying, and I'm so sorry, like I asked you to wash the pan, I am so sorry I did that, and now you're all pissed off, and you don't feel like you're a good dad because you didn't wash the pan, and you have all these things, and I'm sorry, I'm just never gonna do these things, and I just started suppressing and shutting up and shutting down in order to avoid the discomfort that I was feeling as well. And that's the straight up truth of it, right? Like I just didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to be discomfort. I just wanted the peace. I mean, that's like the number one thing I have said for my entire lifetime. My dad was a big sayer of that. And so maybe I picked it up from him, but learning along the way, before I just wanted happiness, and then my uncle gave me this revelation that, you know, there's two sides, you know, to happiness, and I was like, okay, I just want balance, dude, like that's good. I just want peace. I just want peace. I want peace. I am in peace. And so when I have these external things happen, so like last night he blows up, and there's that gut reaction, that default setting that's been in here for 20 plus years that makes me want to text, that makes me want to call, that makes me want to go chase, that makes me want to appease and fix the situation. And a few years back, I said no more. I'm not enabling this shit anymore. Sorry, excuse me, pardon me. I'm not doing it anymore. It's harmful for me. It's harmful for my kids. And it's harmful for you. I don't want to play this game anymore. This game is not fun. This game is not healthy. And this game is not moving our relationship forward. It is setting us back. And so I didn't go. And my daughter was so pissed. My daughter was so angry at me. Mom, you know he's gone. He's saying these things. You need to go. You know, starting judging me and beating in on me. Like, why aren't you? Like, what kind of wife are you? You know he needs help. You're not supporting him. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart, and I was so uncomfortable because I'm like, damn, maybe I am doing this wrong by standing still, and I'm checking in with myself, and myself is like, no. You've said I'm here to support you. I will support you in healthy manners. I'm not going to chase you and go around and do these things. And so I sat with it and I prayed, and I was like, and if he does something, it isn't my fault. Like, it's not my fault that I don't go chase him. It's not my fault that he's not doing the work that will help him deal with whatever he's dealing with before he gets in this irrational stage. So I didn't go. But she did. And in that moment, it was this like passing of a baton where, you know, his mom had told me I needed to do this. And I didn't tell her she needed to do it, but she did. And I do believe in there was a piece of relief that, well, I'm not doing it. So it was like a way of taking off the training wheel, but somebody is. Like, he's not alone. And she didn't talk to me for a while. She was really disappointed in me and all those things. And I had to stand by my decision. And I couldn't tell her not to go either, right? Like, I was just like, you want to go, you know, like, do whatever you want to do. Like, I'm not going to go chase him. And what she saw that night was really disturbing. And the things that he divulged to her were really effective on her life. And I never chased him again after that. I mean, last night I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't have my phone. Neither did the kids. We didn't mean to cause any harm to you. You know, we are very sorry. And, you know, it wasn't our intention. I can't remember something, but I mean, we didn't mean to cause harm. And, you know, we were like, we're leaving upstairs right now. But, you know, he wanted to make this big scene. And, you know, he created a story in his mind that wasn't true. And we were against him. And do you guys have a shred of respect for me? And all, you know, like made it very personal. And it was just like a little communication, like, hey guys, can you keep down? I'm going to sleep or whatever. We all would have been like, oh, cool. We'll back out. We'll go upstairs. We'll go do, you know, like there were so many other options. And, you know, again, I don't want to play into it. And last night, my daughter had this realization. She's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, why does he do this around me? Like, why does this happen? And I was like, and what do I do now? And I was like, you do nothing. You do nothing. You can send a text. You can tell him you love him. And, you know, like I had in those times, like, I support you. I'm here if you need anything. Tell me what you need or how I can best support you. I'm not going to mind read and I'm not going to do those things, but it's really uncomfortable. And even last night, you think I've done this for like maybe 2 years now and 3 years. So every outburst, you know, and sometimes like if they last a long time, I'm like, hey, you know, it's fine to come back here. Like, you're always welcome. Like, you know, like I still am not fully comfortable in the discomfort, but even as it was last night, it's really uncomfortable for me. I said my short and sweet thing. It wasn't the 50 texts like, come home, please come in. I'm worried about you like I used to. So it is progress. And it is a response that I am not just reacting. It is, I am able to be myself and be caring and loving and say, I worry about you. Like as a person, I absolutely worry about you. And in your state of mind when you're behaving like this, I'm worried. And it doesn't have to be this way, but I honor that this is where you are. And, you know, I also have to, so I respond with kindness, you know, like, and I say something the way that aligns with me. To just ignore it and pretend that a person's not going through something like that, that doesn't align with me either. So I give something, but I give what I can and what I'm willing to give in a responsive way versus a reactive way. You know, before it was like, have a reaction, like, hey, make sure he comes back, and what if he does this, and what if he does that? It was like all based on fear and anxiety, and dealing with the facts, and what the facts are is what I know, what I can control, what I can contribute or not contribute. And so again, I just had to remind my daughter that, you know, it's uncomfortable. Like if you don't think that, you know, or don't do nothing, I said, I am very uncomfortable in this moment. Like it's hard for me. It's a struggle for me to know that someone I care about is out there suffering. But I also know that part of this establishing of a boundary is not to protect me from dad. It's to protect me from me, because it's so easy, because I'm in this uncomfortable stage right now, to just abandon me and go chase him. It would be the easier option, because I would not be then feeling this discomfort and sitting in this thing. But when we sit in our discomfort, with that often comes with change, we have a real epiphany to see, like, am I living the life I want to live? For me, when he behaves this way, and the effect I now see, the gravity, not just the surface level, but the deeper impact it has on me, it shows me that I'm making the right decision. You know, it shows me that I still have a lot of care and compassion for him. Like, I really, really hope and pray that, like, his therapy is working, and that, you know, he's making progress. He is, you know, he sent an apology this morning, and you know, that he had made assumptions and that he should have better communicated, and in the future he'll do that. And I'm so stinking proud of him for that, because that's huge, right? He had to be uncomfortable to take that pill and apologize to everybody and do that. So there's discomfort. But the discomfort isn't bad. You know, I know none of us want pain, right? We want to survive. We want to thrive. But sometimes when we are going through the process of figuring out what this life is that we're proud of, we're going to get in pain, because change often comes with discomfort. But once we get through it, it is so beautiful. So stick with the process and understand it's normal to want to procrastinate. It's normal to suppress things. It's normal to do all those things. And it's normal to feel those ways. and acknowledging that what you're experiencing, journaling about it, thinking about it, like spending some time instead of trying to numb it away and push it away and eat it and drink it and you know, whatever kind of other form of distraction is okay, right? We all do it. But if you really want the change that has lasting impact on you and in your journey, you gotta sit in the pain. You gotta sit with the discomfort. And in it, you will find the most beautiful things. So I say all this to say, thank you for tuning in. I hope I didn't make this so uncomfortable for you today, but it is something that, you know, I feel like it's imperative to know, because recognizing what just naturally was happening in my default setting, I didn't even know, like it's just how I felt all the time. But having like the words and the verbiage and the focus to be like, oh crud, here is actually what's happening for me and why I'm behaving this way and reacting this way versus responding in the way that, like, when I'm cool, calm, and collected, I can, right? So I say all that to say, keep growing and keep glowing, and go out there today, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and you know what? Just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye.